so hyped to be back. Oh my god. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's been a while, but hey, we're back. Not even a whole 2 months away from the rookie draft. It's May 1st. The draft, I think, is June 28th. We're almost there, guys. We're almost back. But guess what is back? The BoB podcast. Let's go. I have so much to talk about just because it's been so long. And I hope I can fit it within the time frame that I have. I have to leave for my haircut in about like an hour, 20 minutes. We'll see. If I feel like I'm cutting it short and not doing everything I want to do, I will just cut it off and then finish it after my haircut. But I kind of just want to get it all done now. And I do have an hour and almost an hour and a half. So, I mean, let's see what we can do. So, let's get it started, man. I hope you guys missed the podcast. I hope you guys are all going to tune in and watch this. This podcast is sponsored by Miller Lite. You guys already know what's up. Pour it in the Richmond cup. Yes, sir. And we'll let that settle while I get the pod started. All right? So I don't really know exactly where to start because it's been a while, but basically I'm just going to do an analysis of every team, basically the what happened last season with every team, and then I'm going to get into like draft predictions of what they did this offseason, and then I'm going to do a mock draft, which will be really fun. So, yeah, let's get it started. The first team I'm going to talk about today is our champion from last year. Since he never had a championship podcast, let's just give him a round of applause right now. Congrats to the Straw Hats. You had a hell of a season. You guys went 10-3, second best record for regular season, and then you just finished it off in the playoffs and got your first ring. And I want to congratulate you because I'm going to tear you apart right now. What the hell are you doing, bro? What are you doing with your team? You know what? I'm going to say some good things before I tear you apart. So, yeah, let's acknowledge first in the division last year, championship ring, averaged 150.6 points per game. He was 6-0 when playing the older brothers division. Not a good look for us, older bros. And then he was 4-4 against the younger bros, so he had it tougher against the younger bros, which all we know is a very tough division. Cheers. All right. So, I mean, players that shined for him last year, obviously Saquon, he was the best running back. Jefferson obviously did really good. Joe Burrow was incredible. Drake London finally stepped up for him like he wanted. And I believe was a top 6 fantasy receiver last year. So, yeah, all that's great. And Sam Laporta wasn't as good as we thought he would be last year, but he's still a top tight end. Kamara also very good. I think he averaged 18 a game. But this guy Mark just threw it all away. So this was his lineup. This was his championship lineup. Joe Burrow, Saquon, Charbs, Jefferson, Drake London, Cooper Kupp, Sam Laporta, and Kamara. This is his team right now. Michael Penix Jr., Aldrich Esteem, no running back to fill the RB2. Drake London, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Coker, Doctor Strange, and QJ. What are you doing? What are you doing, bro? I don't understand. So this offseason, Mark lost Jefferson, Saquon, Burrow, Brock Purdy, Sam Laporta, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, Charbonnet, Cooper Kupp, and the 2025 309. And so far, he's acquired this offseason 2025 104, 2025 105, 2025 109, 2025 204, 2025 209, a 2026 first from Richmond, which is going to be the 110. 2026 first from organization. 2026 hats second. He got that back in a trade. It's his own. And then also a 2027 first from Richmond, which will be the 110. And then Michael Penix, Michael Mayer, some dumbass second conditional for 2028, which is retarded. And Aldrich Esteem, RB1, RB1. So, yeah, I named a lot of stuff that he acquired back, but it does not even come close to the value that he gave up. Like, not even close. I just don't understand. Like, you win a ring, and the point of Dynasty is once you get good, you want to stay good. Like, I get how, like, trading and stuff and acquiring picks and drafting is all fun, but you could do that and stay good at the same time. Take notes, like, from Richmond. Like, we got a second and fourth pick last year, and we stayed nice, and we made sure we stay nice. You don't got to give up your whole team to get young again, and I don't know what he's doing. And so I have team needs for him for this draft, every position. I don't have that for anyone else. Everyone else, I have like a certain position, but Mark literally needs every position. And he has a lot of picks to draft every position, but as you guys know, I say in the chat, I'm not a big fan of this draft, so none of these players moving the needle for me, honestly. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to do draft predictions for everyone, actually, really, just because it's going to give away what I have for them in the mock draft. So next, we're going to move on to the organization who finished in second. They had a bit of a rocky regular season, 3-5 in division, 4-2 out of division, and he was 5-7 going into the final 2 weeks. But he clutched up against both his brothers. It was a huge win against the Straw Hats, because Straw Hats were incredible last season. And he won out to clinch the 5 seed. And despite his seed and his record, his team really was heating up towards the end of the year. And in the first round, especially against the Banana Stand, they scored 196 points. And honestly, they looked like the favorite to win it all at that point, even though they were 7-7 going into the playoffs. And then in the semifinals, as we all know, damn it, they defeated Richmond in a nail biter, like absolute nail biter. As we all know, the Rashad White fumble of 2024 changed everything. And then he faced Mark in the championship, the Straw Hats, in the least viewed BoB Super Bowl of all time, and failed to become the first GM to 2 rings. Thank God, because it needs to be Richmond. Like, I would never root for Mark, ever. Ever, ever, ever. But I was rooting for him slightly to win that game just because I want to be the first GM to win 2 rings. But props to Mike. What a season it was for them. I mean, even when you think he's out of it, he's not. And, good GMs always just find a way, And they had organization fans on the edge of their seats all season. So it was an exciting year for them. And their best players this year were easily their running back duo. I mean, this duo is going to be such a problem for our league for many years to come. Gibbs finished as the RB1. Bijan finished as the RB3. And another thing to look at with them, actually, is it looks like Kyler Murray won the quarterback job over CJ Stroud. Which, last summer when that trade happened, when the organization got Kyler from the farm, everyone was saying that Kyler was just going to ride his bench anyway. Me and Brandon are like, no, he's not. Look at it now. And as we all know, for Mike's offseason, it looked like maybe Mike was going to be a little worse next year. Like, his receivers are getting older, like in Mike Evans and Diggs. But his brother slid him Justin Jefferson. Literally, the last person we want in this league to get Jefferson got Jefferson. So, this offseason, he's lost the 109 for this year, the 204 for this year, and the 209 for this year. 2026 first, Jalen McMillan and Michael Mayer. Which honestly, he doesn't need any of that because he got Justin Jefferson, a 2027 second from the company, a 2026 third if Jalen McMillan is top 36, which is going to be close because they got Emeka. I don't know if he will be top 36 anymore. And a Hats 2025 309. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we let him get Jefferson. Now his lineup looks way more scary than it was going into the offseason. His wide receiver core now is Jefferson. Like his starting wide receiver core now is Jefferson, CD, Mike Evans, and DJ Moore. Along with that running back duo and like Kyler, who's I think just gonna get better and form more chemistry with Marv. And he's gonna run more, apparently. His team's very scary. Very scary. Still got his guy James Conner as well. But Mike actually has no picks in this draft, but I could see a possible trade into the second round for a running back. Obviously, he's set with Bijan Gibbs and Connor, but Connor's going to be 30, and Daddle's on the Panthers behind Hubbard now. Javonte could be good. I don't know. Yeah, he's on the Cowboys now. He could be good for him, but I could see a possible trade into the second to get a running back. Maybe even first. I don't know. He has guys to give up. But, all right, that's it for the organization. Next up, we got AFC Richmond. Richmond till we die. Had the league's best regular season record last year with 11-3, 7-1 in division. Only loss was the roast beast. That's like due every year. I don't know why, but like doesn't matter how bad Chris is. Chris will always get one on me. And then I was 4-2 out of the division. I led the league in points. Had the most points in a game this year with 209. Averaged 152 points per game. But we didn't finish the job. So honestly, none of that matters to me. There's no participation trophies in this league, guys. Everything that matters, it goes towards the ring. The ring is just everything that matters. You know? We don't care about second or third place. That's not what the fans remember. They remember championships. And we didn't get it done. We had a chance on our very last drive to win. As we all know, my starting quarterback at the time, Baker Mayfield, dished it out to Rachaad White. And Rachaad White fumbled. And that was our year. That was our year. Just like that. So, I mean, what hurts most is that we were starting Tyrone Tracy a lot of the year, and I overthought it. Didn't start him that game, and we lost because of it. We would have won if I started him. So, it is what it is. It's just bad analytics there. Bad move. Shout out to Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, and Baker Mayfield for having an absolutely incredible season for me. Couldn't have really played better for me, carried me through the year, and is the reason why we had the most points in the league. Those guys right there, like that was my core. Breece Hall, I don't know, man. I think it's because he's on the Jets. I believe in his talent a lot still. I just think the Jets are holding him back. And he was disappointing. I don't know what to say. Another disappointing player for me who started the whole season was Tyreek Hill. Just wasn't the same at all. I think it was due to his hand injury that he suffered, I think, even before the year started. I think he wasn't even maybe going to play week 1 because of it, and then he ended up playing the entire year with the injury. So I think because of that, he had a lot of drops, because if you watch back his tape from last year, like he had a lot of opportunity to have big plays, and he dropped multiple big plays and multiple touchdowns. And I just hope he fixes that up, and it could be what he always was again. Just checking my battery. All right, we're good. And shout out Tyrone Tracy. what a surprise. He was great. And so this offseason, huge moves for Richmond. We got Joe Burrow. I'm so happy about that. He's always been my favorite player, if you know me. Uh, Honestly, goated. If you ask me, he's the best quarterback in the league. There's no one better. And then Alvin Kamara. Welcome to Richmond, bro. Welcome to Richmond. Please just don't be anyone's ass at a club while you're on our team. Please. We don't want to deal with that. But you know we will. We got a great legal team, all right? And we lost a 2026 and 2027 first, a 2026 second, and Doctor Strange. And that's fine. I don't care. Draft predictions, don't have any for me. I don't rock with this class. I'll sit back and watch you guys and maybe have like 12 beers and just watch you guys give me good entertainment. And honestly, I don't really have any team needs at this point, I don't think. If anything, I'll go out and get a young running back. Maybe. But I addressed my concerns of quarterback and running back this offseason, in my opinion. So moving on into the next team is You're the Man. They were 8-6 last year. They were 4-4 in the Younger Bros division and 4-2 in the Older Bros division. And they finished in second in the Younger Bros division, just behind the Straw Hats. Now the thing is, people are expecting Dom to fall off a little with some starters getting older and players moving teams. But as always, he found a way to make it to the playoffs. He's one of 3 teams to make it every single year, along with me, Stevie. Yeah, with me and Stevie. Me, him, and Stevie are the only ones that have made the playoffs every year. It was a very roller coaster season for him. Very interesting for the fans. From week 4 to week 11, they went back and forth like this. Won 2 games, lost 2 games, won 2 games, lost 2 games. Until week 12, they got it together completely and won their last 3 straight to get it to 8-6. The start of the season for them was obviously Lamar Jackson. I don't know how he didn't win MVP in the NFL, but he definitely won MVP for BoB. Averaged 30 points per game and was the QB1. Another player that was huge for him was easily Brian Thomas Jr. Everyone and their mom was trying to get that 105 from Dom last year. But, hey, Dom stayed put, and he drafted Brian Thomas Jr. That's why you stand your ground, man. Don't get convinced into the trades. Stay put. And, yeah, he got BTJ with the 5th pick last year, and BTJ finished as the wide receiver 4. That's crazy. Shout out Aaron Jones and Bucky Irving as well for him. Bucky Irving has a very bright future for his team. And so after the regular season, we got a first round matchup between the Salat brothers, which was really cool. A brother versus brother matchup in the playoffs. Always awesome. This is why we play. You know, I'm sure the tension in the house was crazy that day. If Dom was home, I don't remember. I think he was though. And but it wasn't a close game. He beat Steve by nearly 70 points. And then he moved on to the next round. Unfortunately, he couldn't get it done against the Straw Hats. Lost in a tight game, 177 to 168. So far this offseason, no moves just yet. They have a second and third in the draft this year. No first round pick though. And I was gonna say his draft predictions, but I'm gonna save it for the mock. That's all I got for You're the Man. I know this coming year he's hoping Devontae Smith plays a little better. He's hoping Chris Olave gets healthy. And he's hoping Aaron Rodgers doesn't retire. Shout out also Tony Pollard. He did pretty well. I'm pretty sure this past season for You're the Man. Got him through a couple games and got them wins for sure. Next up, we have the Banana Stand. They were 7-7, 5-3 in the Younger Bros division, and 2-4 out of the division. 2-4. Which, by the way, Brandon always complains that the Younger Bros division is harder than the Older Bros, but he was 2-4 in the Older Bros division. That's all I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say. Anyway, they ended up getting the 4 seed, even with a 7-7 record. If you remember, only I think the first 3 seeds had above 500 records in our playoffs last year. And yeah, so he got to the playoffs, and they actually put up a great score of 160, which that would win you games most of the time, especially a playoff game. Like 160 is what you want. You would think that gets you through, but the organization was super hot, and like I said, I believe they dropped 196. So that's just unlucky, disappointing. But I expected the Banana Stand to be a little bit better in the regular season, but that's probably the worst they'll be in the next 4 years because they're extremely scary when it comes to their like young talent. They have one of the brightest futures, if not the brightest future in the whole league. Their best player this past season was the Sun God again, who finished as the second best receiver in fantasy. I believe he had like 19 points per game and played every game, which is also a huge thing. And one of the best things that happened to the Banana Stand last year was JSN, who finished as the wide receiver 9. Wide receiver 9. Damn. He broke out, and I think he'll be amazing for them for many years to come. So that trade with roast beef, I mean not roast beef, roast beast, seems to have paid off. And they drafted Marv, and he wasn't that consistent. Yeah, they took him with the 101 last year, but he showed a lot of flashes, and I think he'll still be a top wide receiver one day. His wide receiver room is loaded with talent and youth. Amon-Ra, Garrett, JSN, Marv, and Rome, like that's lethal. Even Xavier Leggett, maybe, you know? I know Tet just went to the Panthers, but I think Xavier Leggett could thrive as a 2 more, you know? They could be pretty good. Their quarterback room is Herb, Love, Drake May, and Dak. Like, that's a special quarterback room. It's going to buck him out when he has no idea who to start between those 4. If I'm him, I'm probably dealing at least one of them away just to drive myself a little less crazy every week. No moves yet this offseason. Their biggest need and only need for the draft, in my opinion, is running back. They need to find another running back to play over Swift like this past year, or else that'll hold them back a little bit. And I'm not going to say any draft predictions, like I said, for... My dogs won't stop barking. Yeah, I'm not going to say any draft predictions because I want to save it for the mock. But shout out the Banana Stand. Next up, we got We Can Guard Mike. They went 6-8. 4-4 into the Big Bros division. 2-4 out of the division. And honestly, they just battled through a tough schedule. Even with that record, they did clinch a playoff spot, but they battled through a tough schedule. They were 4th in points scored, but they had the most points per game scored on them. So, like, you look at that and you just think, like, do they need a new DC? Or is their defensive scheme not that good? I don't know. Because their offense was thriving. I don't know, Steve. Might have to look into that. But like I said, when I was talking about Dom's team, they are still only one of 3 teams to make the playoffs every year, which is extremely impressive. Unfortunately, he lost in the first round to his brother. But like I said, there is still some great positives to take from the season, like finishing 4th in points. Like when it comes to players. First off, Chuba Hubbard. No one saw the season he had coming, and he averaged 16 points a game and was a huge part of his team and led him to victories. Another one, Steve traded into the draft to get this receiver. I think it was the 110, Xavier Worthy, and he looked really good by the end of the year. His last 3 games, he had points of 20, 21, and 23. I mean, that's exciting. That's exciting for sure. Plus, he has Pat, so he has that stack. Very exciting. Another person who shined for him was Terry McLaurin. He finished as the wide receiver 7 in fantasy because, hey, he finally got a quarterback. And we all been waiting on that from Terry. We knew he was capable of being a very good wide receiver because the talent was always there. He just had the worst quarterbacks ever to deal with. So shout out Terry for being able to put that together for Steve. Um, what I do have to say about some players on his team, like even though he made the playoffs, Mahomes and Kelsey really held him back some games. I think even Goff ended up starting over Mahomes for him at some point. Uh, but that's not what you want from Mahomes, who we considered like the greatest quarterback ever. Somehow Kelsey was still a top 5 fantasy tight end. I think because it was kind of a rough year for tight ends. He averaged 12 points per game, which is just underwhelming for Travis. And Mahomes finished at QB 11 with just 20 points per game. But I expect Pat to be better this coming season than he was last year. You know, I expect Kelsey to be around the same or worse. I don't know. I mean, 12 points per game is really not bad for a tight end. Like, I feel like 12 is fine, but I don't know. I do have a draft prediction for him. Um, I guess I'll just save it for the mock. Actually, he only picks in the 3rd round, so I'm not gonna save it for the mock. You're gonna have to wait a while to see what I have to say. So my main draft prediction for Weekly Guard Mike this year is he only has a 3rd, right? Like I just said. But I think they need to try to find their new franchise tight end. And I think this is a pretty solid class to do it. He might be able to wait to the 3rd to get one. But as we've seen him do in the past, he might trade um, up in the draft and just draft his guy, whoever he thinks it is. But I don't know. We'll see. Next up, we have Megan the Stallion. In year 2, after blowing it up, they managed to go 6-8. 6-8. Did you guys see his team last year? How did he go 6-8 this year? Like, this guy's just building. You gotta respect it. You gotta respect the hell out of it. So 6-8, 4-4 in division, 2-4 out of division. Like, this rebuild has been special. Should we be worried that he's 6-8 already with like the roster that he had? I don't know. Puka Nakua, dog. He acquired Jordan Addison, and honestly, an absolute steal of a trade. I think around week 5 last year. He got Jordan Addison from Ruspies. Dog. Drafts lad. Dog. HN was a top 5 running back. Dog. Gets Tua from Richmond, who was the best quarterback in fantasy for like 4 weeks straight. Dog. He also has Josh Downs, who averaged like 13 last year with terrible quarterback play. That's another guy you can't sleep on. Can't sleep on Keon either. Cade Otton averaged 10 points per game for him, which that's not bad for a tight end. I mean, this guy's just building well. Ethical building. And the thing is, that people don't realize, like, yeah, he went 6-8. But if he didn't play the top 2 teams in the league last year to end his year, he played them in weeks 13 and week 14. We might have gotten a Meg the Stallion playoff appearance just 1 year after blowing it up. And you got to keep in mind, Rashee Rice was out too, which was really big for him when he was playing. So, I don't know. Should we be scared? Like I said, I don't know. So, their weakest position is running back right now by far. They don't really have anyone besides HN. And this isn't like a spoiler for my mock or anything because Alex says this in the chat all the time. But I think he's just going to stack up on running backs with his 4 first-round picks. I think maybe he takes 1 non-running back. He'll take at least 3 running backs. It's definitely taking Omarion with his 102, but we'll get further into his picks during my mock. Um, this offseason, they did do one trade where they acquired Brock Purdy and Cooper Kupp and sent away Penix in the 302. Michael Penix was supposedly like gonna be his guy, but like that's a no-brainer. Penix is way less proven than Purdy. Plus, you get Kupp, who's at Seattle now. I think that's more valuable than whoever the 3-2 is going to be this year. Could not be, though. We'll see. Next up, we got my fellow podcast mate from last year, The Farm. 1 second. Shout out to The Farm. Shout out Jack, my fellow podcast mate last year. They went 6-8, 4-4 in division, and 2-4 out of division. As much as the Farm struggled through the year, them making the playoffs actually just came down to one game if you really look at it, which was the very first game of the year. It was a Monday Night Football game, if you guys don't remember. CMC was 50-50 on playing. He didn't suit up, though, and the Farm ended up losing by 2 points. If CMC plays, or if Jack like just had another 49er running back to plug in or something, he would have got the head-to-head over Mike because he would have won that game. He would have been 7-7, and he would have made playoffs. So as much as the Farm like struggled a little bit throughout the year, they were right there the whole time. Because look, they went on to lose their first 4 games of the year, but they gave their fans some hope. They really did. They won the next 6 of their 8 games. 6. They were 6-2 after they lost their first 4. But then they lost their last 2 games of the year, and that was it. But hey, it was close. It was close. Looking at their roster now, the Farm has some holes to fill at wide receiver behind AJ and Zay. Remember last year he acquired Zay for Saquon, and it was kind of a questionable trade, but like looking at his team now, I think it's really good that he ended up getting his guy Zay. He does need some help at running back, just a little bit behind CMC, Cook, and Ramondre, just with CMC getting a little older and Travion Henderson going to the Patriots to be with Ramondre. But lucky for them, the Farm has some perfect picks to like fill these holes and like fill out his team even more. I think he has the potential to have at least one of the best drafts of the our 2025 rookie draft, or like the very best. I predict that they get multiple receivers, a tight end, and a running back as well. But hey, they can also go in the direction of getting multiple running backs instead of one. So whatever he feels and whoever's best available. But I think the Farm's going to be fine because of the picks that they have in this draft. Shout out Jack for getting those picks. I believe he got his what pick does he have in the first round this year? Yeah, he has the 103. So, and he also ended up getting the 110 in that trade he got ended up doing for Zay when he gave away Saquon. And yeah, Saquon could have helped him tremendously last year, but Zay is going to be around longer in the league for him. So, got to look at it that way as well. Longevity. Next up, we have the company. They were 5-9 last year, and 2-6 in their division, which is actually the worst division record in our league. But somehow they are a favorite to finish with a top 3 record for the 2025 season. You may ask how. That is because he fleeced the Straw Hats really bad. He robbed the little kid for sport. He really did. Him and the organization, the company and the organization basically jumped the Straw Hats and robbed him. Like what happened to Jack Doherty the other day when he got his 300,000 chain snapped. So, before I talk about the trade that changed the company's team, let's talk about his season last year first. The first 2 weeks of the season, he dropped 160, then 150, but still lost both games, which really stings. He lost another tough game to Richmond shortly after that. I think 2 weeks after that, by just 3 points, which came down to like the final moments of the game. Then starting week 6, he lost 5 games in a row. So he was basically finished. Mark, of all people, tried to accuse him of tanking actually when he was losing that much, but then they ended up winning 3 of the last 4 games anyway. But since they started 2-8, it was just too late to even go on a streak, like a winning streak at that point, and get into the playoffs. Um, when it comes to hold on, I gotta turn that off. Okay. When it comes to his players last year, I want to give a shout out, obviously, to Josh Allen. But two low key players we should need to talk about more are Chase Brown and Jonnu Smith. They acquired Chase Brown from the Straw Hats, and he ended up finishing as a top 10 running back. He was like going crazy on the company. That's just offensive scheme, guys. Like, some players just aren't meant to be on other teams. Like, Chase Brown wasn't doing shit on the Straw Hats, but then he comes to the company and thrives as a top 10 running back. Like, that's just good coaching and good scheme. So, good part on the company for that. And another player is Jonnu Smith. Like I said, the company spent 15 quid on Jonnu between weeks 11 and week 12. And then Jonnu was like the best fantasy tight end in football for the rest of the year after that. It didn't ruin his tanking though. They still got the number 1 pick, and which is huge for him because the company's main issue last year, other than health, was their run game because ETN didn't really do anything, and they didn't really have anyone besides Chase Brown. So that number 1 pick is going to be huge because we all know he's getting Genty. But aside from that, he made that trade with Mark, as we all know, and has acquired Saquon Barkley. He got a 2027 first and Jalen McMillan in that trade as well. In that trade, he gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and some bullshit conditionals. Not only will he have Saquon now, like I said, he has Genty and Chase Brown, so it's very nice. And his lineup's looking scarier just because of that, because of Saquon and Genty. I mean, it's going to be Allen, Saquon, Genty, Nico, T, J-Mo or Waddle, Kincaid, or even Jonnu. Let's see if Jonnu keeps that up. Either Jonnu or Kincaid, and then Chase Brown, J-Mo or Waddle. Like, he's just more dangerous now because of his depth and his star power. For draft predictions, I'm going to not say. Actually, it's not really a spoiler because I'm not saying who, but I just think he gets one of every position besides a tight end. Last but not least, but like kind of least, definitely least. Not least anymore though. He had a great offseason, so shout out Chris for that. But least last year, that definitely least last year was Roast Beast. They finished with the worst record, 4-10 last season, 3-5 in division, 1-5 out of division. He traded into last year's draft to acquire the 106 from Richmond, and he drafted Caleb Williams. He even pulled up to the draft with like a Bears hat, the Roast Beast and the Bears hat. And we thought Caleb was going to be his guy, but since Caleb wasn't elite his first 4 weeks of his whole NFL career, Chris went out and acquired Jaden Daniels from Megan Thee Stallion. And of course, the first week Chris started Daniels when he got him from Megan Thee Stallion. Caleb dropped 27 and Daniels dropped 21. And honestly, I hated on this move heavy when it first happened because I'm like, just stick with your guy. Stick with your guy. But at the same time, I think it's a great thing that he did this because now he's going to get some great stuff back for one of these players in a trade if he decides to trade one of them. And I think he will trade one of them, or else it's just going to drive him crazy every week when he starts the wrong one. In my opinion, I think he's more likely to stick with Jaden Daniels, even though he drafted Caleb. I think he likes Daniels more. Other than his quarterback situation last year, his backfield was really bad. Kyron was carrying the whole year. Um, Shout out George Kittle though for Roast Beast. He went off for them. He averaged 16 points a game and arguably had his best receiving year of his career. Roast Beast knows how to work tight ends, man, and he knows what to do with them, which is why I'll get onto later. He's running the dual tight end set. Um, when it comes to wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy surprisingly was easily his best. Shout out Jerry Jeudy. I always knew he had it in him. I think the Broncos must have just been a bad place because, I mean, once he was getting fed on the Browns last year from Jameis, bro is snapping. I'm very happy for him. I'm happy it worked out with him and Roast Beast. Um, yeah, Jerry Jeudy ranked 13 out of all receivers I'm looking at. Um, Chris will act like Pickens wasn't disappointing at all, but even Calvin Ridley had a better year for him in his wide receiver room. And yeah, Pickens just wasn't all that. But moving on from his last season, Roast Beast has definitely upgraded. He went out and got a great running back too in Kenneth Walker, and he even brought his guy Charbs back home too. So if Kenneth Walker goes down, he has Charbs. Yo, shut up! Dog's barking, bro. So yeah, he brought his guy Charbs home, which was cool. And getting both Kenneth Walker and Charbs is huge for his running back room because, like I said, if Walker goes down, he has Charbs. And he has Kyron, so like, yeah, he needs a little more depth than that, but that's big. Also, Brees Hall, there's rumors about him getting traded, and he has Braylon Allen, so that's another guy that could step up for his running back room. And as we all know, this offseason he made a trade for Sam Laporta. The trade was Laporta, the company's 2026 first, and the Hats 2025 201. And he gave up the 104 and the 2025 204. This trade makes no sense to me at all. He acquires a top 3 fantasy tight end, gave up a first, but got one back in the meantime, and then gave out a second, but got a better one in return. Like, this trade just, like, mind-boggling to me. I don't know what Mark is doing. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Roast Beast will now run the 2 tight end set, like I said, with Kittle and Laporta, which is exciting. And they'll still remain wide receiver 2 nation. They're basically the Packers of our league. They just keep adding wide receiver 2s. They don't have a true one. But I think in the second and third round in this draft, he picks wide receivers and tries to find his one or a guy that could produce pretty well. I don't know. So that's all I got for team analysis. I'm going to end the video now, actually, and split up the podcast into 2 parts so it's easier to upload. And the next video will be the mock draft and my predictions for the over-unders in regular season wins for next year. Let's get it.